just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Pack Her Up, boys. Brought to you by Grumpy Coffee. Oh, yeah, the best in all the land. I tell you what, the people have responded to DJ Grumpy. They're loving the content. I think we got an extra nearly 500 followers in a few days. People are loving it, and people are loving also the coffee. The amount of extra people going to our website is up by like thousands. So get around at Grumpy Coffee and be there. You can be one of those people who say, I was there when DJ Grumpy started. Because I tell you what, in a couple of years, DJ Grumpy is going to be absolutely huge. So get around it. And also, guys, I'm telling you right now, if you don't get a jersey, they're going to go and you're going to regret it. Get the jersey before they go. We've got about 15% left now. Get around it. Otherwise, they will be gone. And also a massive thank you to Sportsbet. Get around them as well. Give me a follow on the feed. I've got some mad multis at the moment. You know what? I'll quickly read some mad multis that I've got on my feed that you can copy. Here we go. Okay, so one is Charlie Staines, anytime. West Tigers 1 to 12. Campbell Graham, anytime. That's getting you $14. Then I got Gold Coast. I'm going Gold Coast 1 to 12. Philip Sammy, anytime. Bo Fermor, anytime. $23. Payne Haas, anytime. And Broncos 1 to 12. That's getting you 17. But here's the big one. Katoa, Iro, Coates, and Munster, all anytime try scorers, $40. Ooh. Get around me, head to feed, give us a follow. A massive thank you, as always, to Sportsbet for partnering with the show. And guys, they're such huge partners. Like, seriously, things would look a lot different if we didn't have Sportsbet as a part of the show, guys. So get around them, and we always really, really do appreciate their support. That's something that I really regret when I was younger as a player, is that because I had no experience in business, I didn't know how it all worked. My whole life was just sport. That's all it was. So all I was focused on was like playing sport at the end of the weekend. And so like I was always nice and polite to sponsors. I mean, it's not in my nature to be a dickhead. Like, if anything, the biggest knock on people that always say to me is I'm not negative enough on people. Like, obviously in the podcast we go, you never fucking criticize people harsh enough. And obviously I do critique people, just not in a mean way.
Yeah.
So I would be polite. I would be respectful. I would give them my time, but I never actually sat there and was like, friggin' thank you. Thank you so much, because you guys really do prop up this club and support this club and give us all these incredible facilities that don't happen without the sponsors. Getting into business on my own, now seeing how important they are, I see it. I really do see it. Matty, how you going, brother?
Good. I tell you who's a good example of that, and it was the first time when I was a kid. I was a teenager, but like growing up watching a footy player on TV where they said something similar to what you just said, where it's still stuck with me all these years later. I remember watching the first ever episode of NRL 360.
Yeah.
And I was like, when Ben Eichen came up, because he'd done some work with Channel 9 and he'd been thereabouts.
Miss Ben Eichen in the media. He was so good.
He's the best.
Mate, he was such a measured, intelligent media person.
Well, I mean, he's the QRL CEO now, so clearly he's doing something right. But yeah, I never forget, he said, the first thing he said on 360 ever was, I always had a good relationship with media sponsors and all these people as players, and I'm hoping to kind of continue that and do my career post-footy. And that's the first time I ever heard a player say that, and I thought it was quite interesting. And now look at him, he's the CEO of Queensland. Yeah. Queensland Rugby League. So.
And but look, to be fair, when you're an 18-year-old, you're not frigging thinking about that stuff. But
of course not.
It just, like even little things, like the Women's Origin. You got like Harvey Norman, who's been a huge backer of the Women's Origin.
And they've been a backer of the Women's Origin well before it was Origin. When I worked, it was used to be called the Interstate Challenge, New South Wales, Queensland. Queensland actually won 17 series in a row. When I was there in the camp in 2016, they were still sponsored by Harvey Norman. So they've been a supporter of women's rugby league for a long, long time.
Yeah, and so when you get older, you do really start to realise the importance of it, especially like Harvey Norman, like. Especially now it's paying dividends, obviously, because the women's game is killing it. It's going so well. But like 10 years ago on that, they didn't have to do that. Like they did it because they believed in it. They did it because they felt it was the right thing. So, but anyway, how's your week been, mate? How's your week been?
Pretty good. I'm not usually a TV movie person, but a new season of Black Mirror has just come out. So
what's it like? What do you speak to me?
Do you watch Black Mirror?
Nah. I've heard all the good things about it though.
Really?
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, for those that haven't ever watched it, you can watch any episode. Like they're not linked to each other. They're just about things that futuristic, but like aren't completely out of reach.
Yeah.
So like you can think, wow, maybe technology is going this way.
Like, for example, let's say, for some reason, the FBI or some agency you didn't even know about wanted to hunt you down and know you exactly who you were. They could scrape all your information off the internet, and they would honestly, with all the algorithms they have, they would know you better than you know yourself.
Yep.
Like, so they could, there is, it's so scary with the information that we put on the internet. And granted, look, guys, I do it, so I'm not poo-pooing it for ease of use and for like a frictionless internet experience. We've all given away all our data, but they reckon there are algorithms now that they can have on people that genuinely can predict like what you're going to do. That's how much information they have about us as human beings now.
Honestly, sometimes like that is super interesting, but sometimes ignorance is actually bliss.
100%.
Like, it is much nice. I love to live my life not knowing, not thinking about that.
Yeah, and I get the age old, wouldn't you rather know? And then you'd fight the big guy and all that kind of stuff. And there is an argument to be had where we are becoming content zombies, and we're content with content. And basically the idea is that, and this is getting conspiratorial, and I don't think there's any one person that is like, oh, this is the big plan, all right, everyone get on board. But I do think governments love that if they go, listen, if we just give them a house over their head, a bed to sleep in, and an internet connection, they'll be so dazed with content that they don't give a shit what's happening in the outside world. So once you lose engagement with the government, with information, with everything like that, governments, they control you. And they actually used to happen in the, I think it's like the KGB in Russia or whatever, or Soviet Union, where what they would do is, and this is, I think, the invention of misinformation, what they do is they would just basically fire hose their society with just a bunch of information, like all misinformation, different information, blah, blah, blah. So much information that what they were trying to do is make their society disengage from politics, because as soon as a society disengages, it gives politicians the power to do whatever they want because no one's watching. So like there is an argument to be made that we're like almost zombifying ourselves with content into oblivion, because we're just all like, oh, look, yeah, I disagree with that happening and this happening, and across the world this war's happening and that war's happening, but you know what? I've got my Netflix subscription, I've got my coffee, I'm not going to fight for a better life. I'm content with everything.
So almost you become more of a zombie, but because of the more content, you feel like you can disassociate with it even further.
Well, think about it like this. 20 years ago, just 20 years ago, you couldn't just sit in your house looking at something. You had to go outside and like engage with your local community, engage with people, and you had time on your hands to care about things. Nowadays, you always have something to do because you've got content at your disposal right away. Like immediately, if you're ever bored, what do? You put a phone screen in front of your face and you start watching the best TV series you've ever watched in your friggin' life.
I still remember when I was in year 7, I'd look forward to 9 p.m. I have to wait till 9 p.m. to watch the Chasers War and everything at 9, and then watch Summer Heights High at 9:30. And like, what did I do from 3 o'clock when I finished school till then? I have no idea. But I still remember that right now, I can go watch Summer Heights High in a day now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
We're in content comas. Content comas. Almost like the Matrix. We're in those like little balls, there's like little babies with all the oil and shit around it. We're just like...
It's fascinating as well how, like, again, back in the day, if you wanted to watch a TV series, you have to wait till every Tuesday or whatever. I watched the entire miniseries on the weekend. And like from start to finish, I finished it. I was devastated.
What'd you watch?
Oh, it was called 4 Seasons. It was based off this old like comedy.
On Netflix?
On Netflix,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
It's got Steve Carell and Tina Fey.
Was it good?
It is
Your
perfectly
humour?
my humor.
Okay,
Perfectly
that's
my
fair.
humor. Yeah.
That's fair. I remember Netflix first introduced the idea of binge watching, and I'm pretty sure it was House of Cards, one of the greatest shows of all time, and it got ruined because I don't know what happened, Kevin Spacey, whatever, the shit that he did. But that was the first time, and the idea was like, let's just give them the whole season rather than waiting each week. Now, it's actually, the pendulum has swung the other way to a degree.
Yeah.
Because what TV companies are seeing is they're going, when I put out, let's say I've got a TV series and it's got 10 episodes. The funny thing is that especially the big ones and the core audience. Now, there's a wider audience that will just watch the episode and then they'll go about their day and they'll never talk about it maybe to their friends a little bit. But there's this huge core audience now where you've got the episode and there's almost like an industrial complex around that show. That show spawns all of these review and critique shows that everyone engages in. And it's similar to rugby league. I reckon there's a lot of people that listen to our podcast that don't even watch the whole game of the rugby league. Like they just watch the highlights, they come to our podcast, and they're actually consuming more content about rugby league than watching rugby league.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you listen to 2 hours of our podcast a week, but you only watch one game, you're actually listening to more content about rugby league than actually watching rugby league. And that's what...
Well, we'll put it this way. The selection table on Tuesday, that episode went for longer than a State of Origin game.
Exactly. So if you listen to the whole thing, that's what a lot of TV or networks or whatever looking at it going, okay, if we release it all at once, that means we just get this really big rush of content around the series, the TV series and all that, all this talk. It happens over a few weeks, then it's gone. Whereas if we release it over 12 weeks, every week there's an entire week of all of these podcasts and YouTube channels talking about the episode, coming up with ideas, coming up with plans of how things have happened, conspiracy theories, plot lines. And so that's why some of these, and also I will say, I do enjoy, binge watching. I do. But there is something about that hype feeling of like, oh, I can't wait till the next, that delayed gratification.
I've still got that with, I've said it a million times, but I love Power and all the sub-series or whatever, and they've got that going at the moment. It's equally pissing me off because I just want to watch it all.
Yeah.
But when I eventually get to the show, which is every Friday at 4 o'clock, whatever it is, I'm ready to watch it on the weekend.
Guys, don't forget to join the Bloke Club at www.bloke.club because you automatically go in the draw to win a Mazda BT50. That's all thanks to Luke Camilleri. Also, we're giving away $1,000 this month. $1,000 cash, but we're going to increase your likelihood of winning it. All you need to do is be following Luke Camilleri at LDC_01. You need to be following him on Instagram for a chance to win the $1,000. And the why that increases your chances is you're not competing against the tens of thousands of Bloke Club members. You're competing against just the people that have followed LDC_01, the great Luke Camilleri. So get around it. Go give him a follow right now. Take you 2 seconds. You automatically go on the draw for a chance to win $1,000, plus also being a part of the Bloke Club. You go on to draw the Mazda BT50, which is the end of June. We give away prizes every single month. And a massive thank you to Aspley Mazda. Also, if you want a special financial year discount, mention Bloke at Aspley Mazda or mention Bloke to Luke and they will take care of you guys. So please, if you're looking for a car, just mention Bloke to them. They will give you the best deal possible, to my understanding at least. Luke, for me, he's the best in the business. I got the best deal I could get from him for my wife as well for her car. And so get around it. Make sure to join the Bloke Club. Alrighty, New South Wales win the Origin. The Sky Blues 26-6, and I'll tell you what, I think that what happened this year was probably what should have happened last year. I think there was like redemption because watching game one last year, they were just too big and too powerful. And then they got to game two, they probably got a little bit complacent. Then even in game three, they were still dominant for most of the game, but they just messed up a few opportunities. Queensland hung on and obviously got the chockies in the end. Big win for New South Wales. And now it's all about, can we whitewash? That's what it's about for the Blues. Incredible win. I've got to say, I went a bit too far on the Matty John, so I apologise for it. But I said that the video ref should be nowhere near an NRL game for the call that he did last night.
That was outrageous.
Like, I said that on the Matty John, so that's a bit too far. I'm sorry for saying that. I shouldn't have said that. But I tell you what I will say, it was a terrible call. And unfortunately, those calls, that embarrasses the women's game. But it wasn't even like, it was one of our senior refs that did it, the video ref. Yeah. Like he's one of our senior refs, experienced refs. I can't for the life of me, someone please explain to me how that wasn't grounded. Like, how can you look at that and say that there was no downward pressure?
I thought she grounded it twice.
Mate, I'll give you 3 times. I reckon it might have been 3 times.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
And you could see her face. Like, she was like dumbfounded. Like, what am I watching right now? That's when you know, like when a player is so emotive like that, you know it's a Barry Crocker. Like, don't get me wrong. When a player makes let's say an error and is immediately in the moment going, oh, I didn't do it, ref, I didn't do it. Don't take that to the bank because they're in the moment and they're emotional. When a player has watched a replay and is still that emotive, then you know something's gone wrong.
For sure. And look, like the ref called no try, right? So the ref
saw it.
The ref saw it. The ref saw it. I couldn't believe, and all my group chats popped off. Like, what the hell is going on? The words didn't intend to ground it. She was trying to pick it up. She grounded it twice. And secondly, that might be a rule, but it's the first time I've heard of it. I've never heard that in my life.
But also, like, how can you say intention? Like, how can it's a silly, like, it's just a kind of like, bro, with something like that, that's so grey in that situation. Like, okay, for example, I can make a judgment on intention if I see a bloke shoot up out of the line trying to jam someone. It's a very black and white. Here's all the intention that you need. He shot up out of the line. Yeah. He increased his speed. He was clearly trying to put a big hit on. For trying to ground a ball, how can you say you know what the intention is of the person?
Yeah.
You're just like, what? And also, it's a no try as well. So you're telling me there was definitive evidence that she definitely didn't ground that.
Outrageous.
Like, honestly, I just couldn't believe it. That is one of the. That's honestly
it's one of the worst calls I've ever seen.
I've seen a lot of Barry Crockers. You guys, yeah. So anyway, so I just had to get that out of my system because that was so poor. Outside of that, though, the Blues are just too big, too strong, too powerful. And I've said it before, but like the girls, when you see them in person, you'll see the advantage of being professional athletes. Their physical bodies have just changed so much over the last 5 years because they've got all the resources now. They've got the right programs. The physicality of them now, they are so impressive. And when you see them in person, I always make this joke, but it's not really a joke. They genuinely look like Amazonian warriors. Like they look just like it's like when you see a group of the men's footy. When you haven't, like when fans haven't actually gone to a game in person. I remember the first time I had a first grade trial. No, sorry, there was a first grade trial near me. Not near me, but at the grounds that I was playing at. So I had an under-19s trial, but there was a first grade trial there playing later, or maybe before for some reason. But anyway, I remember, so I'd been training with just the under-19s Broncos side, and obviously, we all know I didn't grow up playing rugby league, so I'm not around them all the time. I remember the first time I walked past the first grade bench for this trial. It was the Dragons versus the Bulldogs. I don't know what they were doing up on the Gold Coast. And I couldn't believe how big they are. Like in my head, I'm like, I'll never be that big and muscular. And so it's like when you see a men's first grade side, the women are starting to get like that too, where you're going, I can't believe how athletic they are looking. But anyone that goes to the gym and is actually like a bodybuilder, or not even a bodybuilder, just heavily into the gym, like, yes, you can put on muscle quickly, but it takes years to build a frame out that makes you really be able, and usually you can kind of keep that frame to a degree, even if you miss gym for quite a while. It takes years to build muscle on muscle on muscle, and you're starting to see that with the women where they just look so powerful. For women, obviously, like if you compare them against men, they're not as powerful, but for the women, they're so powerful and big.
Yeah, and it is harder to see on TV, right? Like I remember when
it's all comparative. Like
that's what I mean. Like they look like if you talk about the men for a second, like I remember when I worked for the Blues and I went into camp. And I was used to seeing Latrell on TV. And to be fair, Latrell, he was this young superstar then.
So big though.
Yeah, he was this young superstar then, and he was a bit more.
He's lean.
He was leaner back then.
Yeah.
But when I saw him in real life for the first time, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So like I saw Olivia Koenig. They did a podcast. James Graham's studio's just up there. So I saw her, and like she's a presence herself.
Yep.
And it showed last night. Like she was easily the player of the match.
Man, she's so good. The fact she got left out of the Australian side, like it might be one of the biggest selection travesties I've ever seen.
And I've never heard a good reason as to why.
In both men and women's selection. Like, do you reckon, like, I know that we've left out Dally M winners or whatever, but like, she's a gun. She's so good. How do you leave her out of the side or the squad even?
Yeah, because didn't she killed it in the grand final as well? That might have been a few days later, but still, like, she won the Dally M. Sorry, no, she won the Dally M, killed it in the grand final, and then the team was picked and she wasn't picked. Like, it's just crazy.
Like, like you could make the argument, did KP get selected at fullback when he won the Dally M? And I know
I mean, Nico didn't get picked either, but like, you know.
I just think that, I don't know, when you looked at the competition of who she was up against, I just felt like she's young, in form, red hot. Just one of the
She scored a double in the grand final.
In the grand final. But the selection had already happened, hadn't it, before the grand final, I think?
No, so the Dally M happened. Then you know what? Let me look it up. I'm pretty sure it happened after though.
Anyway, so look, she just continues to prove why she's one of the best players in the game. And big win from the Blues. I think obviously the Southwell selection has helped them this year. And what we're seeing with Southwell, she's, almost the first generation of a young woman that's had proper professional training since a very young age. So it's almost like MMA a few years ago. It was the first generation of guys that weren't coming in as like, I used to be a boxer, but I'm now an MMA fighter, but my strength is my stand-up, but I just kind of work around that. And it's a little bit similar to some of these girls coming through now for NRL where, they're not touch players that have been brought across into the NRL late in their lives. They're like, they're from a very young age, they have played rugby league with men, maybe with boys, obviously, maybe when they're very young. But then when they hit under, 12s or whatever, or 13s, a lot of the older generation, they had to stop playing for a few years because there wasn't that many. Whereas this generation, they don't have to stop playing for any years. And I think we're starting to see that with girls like Southwell come through with their skill sets.
Yeah, sorry, just going back. Yeah, it was picked after the grand final. But yeah, back to Southwell. Joey loves her, which is the first sign because if Joey sees something in you, obviously you're a gun. But you're right. I'll go back to 10 years ago when I was in camp. Most of those players stopped at age 12. Yeah. And they either went and played rugby union or they stopped over there. Ruan Sims is one of the best women's players of all time. Even she stopped. Yeah, crazy. So I think. The product, you saw heaps and heaps of young girls in the crowd yesterday, which was awesome. We're going to see the benefits of this in turn, good players going to come out of it in the next 5 or 10 years because of what's happening now.
Well, we're already seeing it. We're already seeing that.
Yeah.
We're seeing that with Southwell. Southwell would have been in the stands 5 years ago, probably.
Exactly, yeah.
And what about in the torrential rain, that turnout?
Yeah, wasn't it great?
Mate, I tell you what, we have the best women's sports product in not just the country, in the world. Yeah. Even some of the physicality. And I'm not going to say, it's as big as the men's and, they're as powerful. That's nonsense. Stop disrespecting the girls by comparing to the men. I understand comparing in she's plays she's like Gordon Tallis or whatever. Yeah. I understand that comparison. But don't compare the women's rugby league to the men's rugby league. They're two different things. Just because they play the same sport doesn't mean that they're comparable because they're played by two different types of people.
Yeah.
And so in their own right, women's sport, it's a bloody good setup. Now we just need to find a way to make the business side of it click properly, get the finances right. The game's invested really well and smartly into it. It's just a matter of, okay, how do we get to a point where it's beginning to make its own money? Because then, look, if the NRLW gets to the point where it's making, it's still quite a way away, and sometimes you invest in things early. Sometimes you have to spend a bit of money to make money, but it's that good balance of how much money do you spend. It's still a little bit away, but if they can get to a point where they're making profit, they'll be one of the first women's games in the world to be making profit. Then after that, it's just off to the races. Yeah. But it's obviously they've got to find a way to make that work because the State of Origin, last year I think they had a sellout.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, okay, some people go, the tickets were a little bit cheaper or whatever. Can you just Google the sellout last year? Yeah. But okay, let's say the tickets were cheaper. Well, people still pay to go out there. There are a lot of sports that if you said, we need to get 30,000 people down there, you couldn't get 30,000 people if you paid them.
Of course, it was at Newcastle last year where it sold out.
So it sold out at Newcastle last year. Was there anything about the ticket pricing at all or anything like that?
I'll have a look. But also, Origin 1 this year they beat their record as well in Brisbane.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And yeah, as I said, some people look to, it's a little bit cheaper. Mate, even if the tickets were $10 each, $5 each, you're still getting 20,000 people out to watch the game.
Mate, Good Friday, the Bulldogs and South decided, you know what, screw it, we're selling $10 tickets, and they got a record crowd. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
That's they should be doing that anyway. You should be filling that stadium.
I know, but people try to look for reasons. Oh, yeah, well, it only sold out because it was cheaper. But it's like, bro, it's still sold out. Tell me any other women's sport right now that isn't in a, like, for example, the Matildas, they had a World Cup. That generated that kind of hype in the world game, which is football. And also, it's Australia playing as well. Whereas we've got a brand, like a very new sport in NRLW, and it's already doing these big kind of numbers. Like the game, Origin Game 1 for the women's was the most watched 9 game of the year.
There you go.
Like that's amazing. That's amazing stuff. So really, really good what's happening there with the girls, and great win for the Blues. Hopefully it's not a whitewash. Hopefully the Queensland can bounce back. But we'll see. We'll see.
It was such an entertaining game. From a Blues fan.
From a Blues fan, sure. What an in and away from, an away and in from Chapman on
Upton.
Upton,
that was
did a hammy.
She barbecued her for sure.
She's a super athlete, Chapman. She's an absolute. When she gets moving, just gliding across the.
I think someone who's been there for ages and she's always rips in is Samaima Taufa from the Blues.
Oh.
She has been doing that since before NRLW existed.
Yeah.
And
Gun.
She's a freak, and she deserved that try last night.
Yeah. Just bowled over in the wet. Looked so good. Anyway, so great win from the girls. Well done. Great turnout from people in the torrential rain as well.
Well done.
And also, like, the fact that, like, mate, that weather, if you had that weather 5 years ago, the game would have been busted because, like, the skill set just wasn't there. Whereas the girls just showed, like, even in that weather, they can put on an entertaining game, which shows the skill set has risen so much.
Just a little side note, and we don't have to get into it, but great crowd yesterday. Roosters attendance is up. We've just paid $800 million for this stadium. There should be more games there. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, mate, don't even get you started. It's ridiculous that there's not. Guys, don't forget, head to codesports.com.au/bloke and use code BLOKE, and you'll get $49 for the whole year. And when I say there are unbelievably good stories on there, I'm not kidding you guys. It is the best in the business for written stories in rugby league, but not just rugby league, any sport. Use the code. The code's not always going to be there, guys. And also, the partnership at this stage, it may end soon. So if it ends, then obviously you're not going to get that discount. Trust me. Go over to the site. Use the code. Also, it's a good way to show them how good the Bloke community is, because then we can get a longer-term partnership. We get more support. We can create more shows for you. So get around it. Codesports with an S.com.au/bloke. Use code BLOKE. Okay, big news. Terrell May has basically confirmed he's being left out of the side. Well, to a degree, like I think, and we'll get into his comments here, what he said on his Twitch stream. But funnily enough, it was only a few years on the selection table. I said I was getting a funny feeling about Terrell May. And look, he shouldn't have said anything on his Twitch stream. It does, because it's not going to help him in the future. I understand his frustration and I understand the disappointment. Like, you want your players to be competitive. You want them to want to be there. So I can understand his disappointment. And also, so he says here, he was asked, basically his friend said, if it was just media chat in regards to the comment earlier this week where I think Laurie Daly said he might have defensive issues or something like that.
I don't know if Laurie said it, but it's been floating around.
Yeah, it's been floating around recently. And I will say, in Terrell May's defense, when he was asked that, or is it just media chat, he said, it's not media. How do you think it got leaked? You think they're not just playing Chinese whispers? You might have to switch my allegiance. Obviously, that last one is in jest.
Yeah.
As I said, in Terrell's defense, he's right. Those stories don't come from just nowhere. They are intentionally put out there to begin to justify certain decisions. And so I can understand Terrell May, because we're about to get into basically saying Terrell shouldn't have said anything, because I do believe he shouldn't have said anything. But what I want to say is like, a lot of people are going to say, oh, you idiot, Terrell May, why did you say something? But I'm just trying to paint the picture so you can understand his frustration of, well, they're leaking these stories about my defense and I'm getting painted as a bad guy. At least I'm openly saying it. Whereas they're leaking these stories about my defense instead of just giving me a call and letting me know. And why make me look bad in public? And why not just call me and let me know that I haven't made the side?
It's a great point. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah.
And this is coming from a guy, I want to be clear, I disagree with Terrell May making those comments because the big lesson I've learned, especially as I've gotten older, just say less. Say less. You never gain anything by publicly saying things. You always end up winning by just staying quiet. Just staying quiet. You can feel the same way. You can vent the same way to your friends and family, but just don't say things publicly. But I just wanted to paint that picture because you have to understand if you're in Terrell May's situation right now, the way and this is I don't know for sure, but by reading his quote, it seems like this is what he feels. He's sitting there going, mate, why is the Blues camp leaking that I've got bad defence to justify their decision to sack me? Why make me look bad like that? So that's where and then also he's finding out he's not getting selected. So that's why he's frustrated. So there's that out of the way. But
can I say one thing as well? You're right. Like, I've been in my head, all right, locked away, Terrell May's getting picked for Origin all year. And then just in the last, 10 days, 11 days, there's just article here. It's... Even when you said it on Tuesday, you brought it up, I was like, yeah, but whatever. But it's true. And it's
and think about it.
That would be so frustrating.
It'll be so frustrating. Why did I have that feeling? Because I get the game too. The game is those stories don't come from nowhere. Journos, I know journos like there are some journos that just make stuff up. I get it. But most journos, I promise you, don't just make stuff up. They are told by people in key positions, and a lot of the time these are intentionally put in stories where, and that's where Terrell May's coming from. He's like, all these stories are like linking about my defense and stat padding and that thing. I'm getting positioned for no reason. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. However, should have never said this stuff publicly ever. I know that some of it is said in jest or whatever, but when it's printed on a piece of paper, it doesn't get read in jest. And B, Origin is so serious, you never want to be joking about that kind of stuff.
So I read the article before I listened to it.
Yeah, exactly. When you listen to it, it sounds a little bit different, but anyway.
And my initial reaction was, oh no.
Understandably so. I understand why Blues fans would be pissed off.
Yeah. I've since taken a step back because I can't believe he's not being picked. And I'm going to stand by that. I think he should be picked. I don't think he should have said what he should have said.
No, he shouldn't have said it. Doesn't help anyone.
Doesn't. But now that I've watched the video, mate, he's having a conversation. It's kind of said, but he shouldn't have said it.
He shouldn't have said it.
And it seems like a bit of this could cost him. It's a bit of a sabotage, really.
Well,
which
that's
is
unfortunate. The problem is, mate, if they were already looking for reasons not to select you, boom, they got their smoking gun now. So now, even in the future, in the next 2 games, they can just go, mate, look what you said here when you weren't selected. When in reality, if you really were all about the Blues, you would have said, okay, I'm disappointed about getting selected, but I'm going to do whatever it takes for them. Whenever they want me, I'm ready to go. But the problem is that with today's athlete, they've got things like Twitch. They've got things. So you're hearing conversations that 20 years ago you would have never heard. Like 20 years ago, I guarantee you there would have been players that got selected that have said way worse stuff, but it was just private. Terrell May is on playing video games, talking to his mate, and said what other blokes would have said a million times over. And I promise you, players say some pretty negative stuff when they don't get selected. Understandably so, but you just never hear about it.
But they're competitors, they're NRL players.
But the problem is Terrell's old enough to know that there's a part of being a professional where you just don't say that stuff publicly. And I know in his head he's going to be like, well, I'm just saying how it is, and I'm just talking to a mate, but it's still in the public eye. Yeah. And sometimes you've got to go along to get along kind of stuff. Like just you swallow your tongue, you speak privately, you get your frustrations out privately. And I know, in the defense of that situation would be, well, they weren't doing it privately. They were leaking all of the stories about defense and hit-ups and all this kind of stuff. But what I would say about that is you got to play the game, bro.
Yeah, it's not fair, but it is what it is.
It's not fair. It absolutely is not fair that, these stories can start to get leaked, but you're not allowed to have a response. But you just got to play the game because you're never winning that game.
Especially in Origin.
Not in Origin.
Look, I have lived and breathed State of Origin since I was a little kid. But even I last year was shocked about when the Suoliti thing happened, and then we spoke about it, and then everything just exploded, and I was just like, ooh, people do take Origin seriously.
Origin is a different beast, man.
And mate, I've been a fan since I was 5 years old, so I get it. It was wrong it was the wrong decision because people aren't going to forget this,
No.
which is so
And most
disappointing.
people aren't going to go watch the video either.
What? No way.
To see that this is a youngish man,
Yeah.
just talking to his mate, and he's talking shit, like as if he's going to ever change allegiances, and as if he's ever going to burn a jersey. Like, but again, it's Origin. You just, if there was an older senior player in the room with him, he would have been like, just don't say it,
Yeah.
brother. Just put the mic down. And so he shouldn't have said it. It's going to cost him probably. It might even cost him never playing for the Blues, to be honest.
And that's the sick feeling I have in my stomach now. The original one was, the first one was he's not getting picked, and that pissed me off.
Yeah.
Then his quote pissed me off until I listened to it. And I texted you guys. And then all I had to do was watch the video, and I was like, okay, context definitely matters. So that's all right now. But now I get the feeling that he's sabotaged himself. Certainly this year.
Yeah, certainly this year. But most likely, unless he has a conversation with Laurie or whatever. Because, the thing is, this is what people want to hear. This is what he really probably could have said. I'm super disappointed, but I'm there for the squad if they need me. I'm going to go back to club. I'm going to rip and tear, and hopefully they're ready. And that's what everyone wants to hear.
Yeah.
And to be clear too, there would have been players in the past that have said that. Like, so for example, when Capewell got dropped and a few players got dropped, and they publicly came out and said, I'm here for the state and, all that stuff. I promise you there was at least 24 to 48 hours where Capewell or Ponga or whoever was going, are you fucking serious? This is bullshit. How can they pick that person? That's only natural. That's human. But the difference in now is that, we have these live streams and people talk more freely. And so, yeah, really, I'm disappointed for Terrell.
Shit situation.
Because he's having a candid moment about something very serious that, on paper, when you read it, it doesn't look great. And even when you do watch it, it's still not. It does help context to a degree, but it's still not. You just go, brother, you just don't say anything.
I will say as well, and, again, not justifying what he said or did, but some of the articles that have come out this week have been disgraceful. Like, there was some that said, I won't get into footage, but some that said, that Laurie's only got 10 days to make him gel. But there's no quotes. It's just a baseless thing that somebody said.
The what, sorry?
Like, one of the articles that I read was like, one of Laurie's problems is that he's a bit of a rogue, so he's only got 10 days to make him gel with with his teammates. Like, what are you basing that off?
Yeah, but also, the problem I have is if that's okay to have that opinion because you're the coach, you get to make the calls. The issue I have is
Laurie didn't say that. That's what.
Well, it was whoever, but someone said it. Someone said it. And the worry that Terrell would have right now is, why is this all coming out now? It's to position. It's to make the blow less. When he doesn't get read out in that selection sheet, there is going to be a wider audience that goes, oh yeah, because he can't defend. Oh no, he can't gel with the playing group. And so, of course, as a player, when you're reading those things, you're sitting there going, hang on a sec, what? Why? Just to make it so it's you get less blowback. I have to be seen as don't fit with the group, bad defense, all of these negative things about me, just so there's not as big negativity towards you. And so that's where the player frustration comes in. Just the players would more be like, bro, just don't select me. Don't select me, but just don't put all the negative stuff out about me. But the problem is that's not how the world works. The game is played. Most people are worried about their own backside. They're not worried about, other people. So, as I said, even if there is really, even if you can really empathise with Terrell in this situation, he still shouldn't have said it.
For sure.
Just say it to your mate privately. Put your phones down, boys. And that's coming from I feel like an old Gramps saying that, But I did come from a generation where there were certain things you say publicly, certain things you just keep to yourself and speak privately. And this is, I think, just a one where, look, I don't think it's going to sabotage forever. I think if he keeps his form up, I think if he has a conversation with Laurie and, all that good stuff, and maybe even just, says oh, sorry, guys, I misspoke or whatever. I love this state. I would do anything to play for this state. I think that you could eventually see him in the Blues squad.
I hope so. For me, he should be there.
Yeah. Because this is... I know that you can, this is a bloke, this is clearly a bloke hurt by not being selected.
Of course.
So that's a good thing. You want him to be hurt, not being selected, but just got to be a bit smart about it.
For sure. And, Yeah, well, let's hope he can break bread with whoever he needs to. If the Blues win game 1, then they won't change their team. But
Yep.
it's going to be interesting if they lose. Like, what are they going to do?
I tell you what, I will say this: if you have been screaming out for players to speak their mind and give their opinion and say it how it is, mate, this is what you're getting with Terrell. This is what you're getting. He's saying exactly how he feels. He's being true to himself. Whether you agree or disagree with it, like, and that's the thing. A lot of people go, "Oh, I want players to speak more and say their mind and not give us cookie cutter answers and all that stuff." You got to take. You can't just say that when you like what a player says. You've got to take that too. So there is an element of like, he's speaking his mind. But I see, I'm not of that element. I'm of that element, mate. I'd way rather just to see you in a Blues jersey.
I'm with you. He went too far, but he's a breath of fresh air. Like his vlogs are hectic. Like he's outspoken. I find him very entertaining. He's definitely misspoke this time, and there's no doubt about that. But he's a breath of fresh air. So
saying how he's just, he's venting. Like you're getting to see an insight into the disappointment an Origin hopeful goes through. Yeah. You're getting to see it in real time. A guy that he's joking about it, and he's almost putting a bit of a tough bravado face on it. But this is a guy that's hurting, clearly.
Yeah,
like if he's not hurting, he doesn't say any of that shit. He just goes, just whatever. So
I just wish he didn't say the change allegiance bit. That's what's going to bite him. No. That's because as we spoke about, like
it's Origin. You just can't joke about that.
You can't joke about it. Yeah, you can't. And
you can joke to your mates in private, like as a G up, but not publicly. Yeah. Shouldn't have said it. Shouldn't have never said it. Oh man.
Any idea who? Like,
I think it'll be Stefano or Jacob Saifidi. Jacob Saifidi's been good the last couple of weeks. Otherwise, it's going to be Jake Trbojevic.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm biased. I reckon they should put Keon in. He can play middle and edge.
Maybe.
I like him on the bench. I think he's a great bench option.
Yeah, I don't mind Keon. I guess like just the size. Do you need a big bopper there? Because you've got Spencer, Hudson Young, and Keon. That's quite a mobile bench. But like a Stefano or a Jacob Saifidi, you've got a genuine big bopper that can come on and just go through the middle.
For sure.
I wouldn't mind seeing Stefano get another opportunity after being down at Melbourne. I think he's been quite solid at Melbourne. I know, granted, there was some brain explosions, all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't mind seeing Stefano get that opportunity.
It's funny because, I wouldn't mind any of these guys, but Terrell's just been better than all of them, and that's the thing that's really bugging me.
The thing that frustrates me with the Terrell situation in regards to what's been getting talked about of, some runs are just for runs and his defence isn't that great. It's like, mate, I would get that if he was in a side that was struggling but he was still putting those numbers up. Mate, he's helped lift the West Tigers from last, essentially, outside of last week, essentially into the top 8. Like, it hasn't just been Jerome Luai. It's been Terrell May signing. I'd be confident in saying if they don't get Terrell May from the Roosters, I don't think that they're going as well.
Of course not.
So that's where I just don't understand the whole idea of sometimes he's just running to run and there's no impact. But it's like, well, the impact is they're winning games.
Going back to what you said before, it's just crazy that all this. I hadn't heard that last week. You know what I mean? It's all coming out this week.
And that's the frustrating thing from Terrell's position.
Yeah.
There's these narratives that have been... There are a large part of the population of rugby league fans that are going to just believe that. Now all of a sudden, he's painted with the brush or he just takes hit-up for hit-ups. Go back and watch that Sharkies-Tigers game. You tell me he didn't impact the game? You tell me he wasn't one of the most important players on the field? You telling me 33 offloads is not impact?
What? It's nuts.
I don't know. I just disagree. I really do disagree, and I think it has more to do with he's an outspoken person, and maybe they just don't want that in camp. Which is like you'd rather than painting him with this brush of his playing ability, maybe just say we just went in with a different direction because he didn't fit certain things. I'd rather just be honest like that.
I'd rather than be honest. I'd rather than just not say anything because now even if Terrell didn't say this, right? Now even if he didn't say this, how can they pick him for game 2 after all this
stuff?
These articles come out.
Yeah, because if they do pick him, people are like, well, hang on a sec.
Yeah,
wasn't there all these stories coming out about how he wasn't this, he wasn't that? So yeah. Anyway, oh man,
I'll tell you what, I'm furious as a South fan because we're playing the Tigers this week.
Yeah, so he'll go off. I'm such a fan of the way Terrell's been able to turn his life around and become one of the best forwards in the competition. And And, you know, it's like anything. You can disagree with what someone does, but that doesn't mean you disagree with them as a person. It's just one part. Like, I'm sure there are things like we're friends, and I'm sure there are things that I do that you disagree with. Doesn't mean we're not mates. Doesn't mean you can't support someone. And so I hope that Terrell's fans just go, okay, you know, maybe I don't agree with what he said in this situation, but I'm still a massive fan of Terrell May as a player. I hope that's the case.
Of course, yeah.
Guys, don't forget, Good Day and Daylights. Use code DMP for 10% off at begoodhealth.com.au. And also, the boys at Frey Skincare sent us a package. So they are part of the Bloke Club, guys. They are currently doing 20% off. So make sure to join the Bloke Club because we get these great deals. Sent a message. They said, hey, boys, just a little thank you for letting us be a part of the Bloke Club. Shower beer holders is for Guru when he leaves the game early and can go home and still have beers. Up the dogs. So a drive-by on Guru, which we always love here at the Bloke in a Bar studios. I love that. So shower beer holders. I didn't know there was a thing called shower beer holders.
How good's that?
Yeah, good. Also on their packaging, it says certified by the boys. Mate, if it's certified by the boys, then that's like almost like the kangaroo tick on a product. But yeah, here we are, guys. Sun geared. SPF 50. Get around it. Here's some men's skincare. Yeah, as we said, the beer shower holder, which we love to see. Daily facial cleanser. All great stuff, guys. So get around Frey Skincare. They are a part of the Bloke Club currently. You get a 20% discount as well. And it's started by 2 tradies. So, you know, they're average blokes, knockabout blokes like us, guys. So they get it. And also, we've got some huge discounts. We've got... Every month, we'll be doing different sponsors, showcasing deals for smaller businesses, small or medium size. So 180 Cadence, who are offering $50 off the Sydney Ultra Marathon for Bloke Club members. It's their biggest ever discount. And also Charity Trades. Guys, it's an organisation on the Central Coast that helps those that need it the most. If you want to get involved or hear what they have to say, reach out to Sam via the Bloke Club. Blokes giving back and helping out where they can. If you are a smaller business or a medium-sized business, you've got a bit of a smaller budget, guys, reach out to Miles, MYLES, at blokeinabar.com and join the Bloke Club because you can get this kind of promotion. This kind of promotion is a part of the Bloke Club that's usually worth a lot. You get it for much less in the Bloke Club. And also, just don't forget, Menulog code CRITTER for free delivery this week. Minimum spend is $30. Free delivery, minimum spend is $30. Okay, Matty, huge game this weekend. The Broncos v the Dragons. Now, Martin Tapu'ua has come out and had to apologise for liking a post from Taylor, Footy Hacks. So basically, Footy Hacks put up a post, former player, Taylor, tough player. And basically, he was detailing some of the extreme measures Michael Maguire would go to as a coach. And like the thing is this, and I've said this from the get-go, that version of Michael Maguire, if that version of Michael Maguire is at the Broncos, I'm super concerned. A lot of people sit there and go, Bellamy trains hard, and Serraldo trains hard. I don't think people realise there's hard and there's extreme, and Michael Maguire was known for that. I'm very confident Michael Maguire has learnt from all of that. I'm very confident there's no way he's training them as hard as he used to train the West Tigers, a decade ago or whatever, or 5-6 years ago. I'd be shocked. And also, the thing as well with Michael Maguire at the Broncos, if the Broncos came out and they completed at 85 to 90% for 4 games and played super boring conservative footy, but they were just too flat and they were getting beaten, then I would say absolutely, Michael Maguire is training too hard and needs to pull back. The problem is that's not why they're losing. They're losing because they got a terrible completion rate. They keep trying to score every single set, throwing the ball out, getting taken out in second tackle. Can you check what their completion rate is? I think they're like 10th in the league or something like that. So like it doesn't add up. It makes no sense. Like as I said, there's no way Michael Maguire is telling them to go out and play like that. Like, guys, attack from anywhere. Even if it's a second tackle, spin it to an edge. Like, Michael Maguire would be telling them, play conservative footy, build pressure, and then choose your moments when to make the big play.
They're 11th.
They're 11th. So that's what I mean. Like, if they bought all the way into Michael Maguire's style of rugby league and they were still struggling because they were flat, then I could be like, okay, Michael Maguire needs to tone things down. But that's not why they're losing. It's just not. They're losing because they're playing too flamboyant.
I think a perfect example is the Warriors. For years, they've been that flamboyant
What's
team.
their completion rate? Where are they at?
They're first.
Boom. There you go.
They're first. Have you ever seen that in your life? The Warriors first?
Well, I mean, they were good last couple of years, but this new version of
That's
it.
what that's what I
Yeah.
meant. 83%. They're coming first, and it's no coincidence. They're in the top 4. They're not playing
They're not
crazy.
even playing that good footy.
Yeah.
We've said that every week on the
I
pod.
didn't think that they didn't play good last week against the Dragons.
But guess what? They gave themselves every chance
Exactly.
to win it by playing. But you know what? By all buying in to Webster's plan. And so that's why I'm just not buying this idea that it's about Mike Maguire training too hard. I believe, me personally, yeah, okay. Are there going to be 2 or 3 players that don't get along with the new coach or don't believe in the methods or whatever? Yeah, sure. Like that's going to happen, as I said on the podcast on the DMP. Even if Bellamy went to a new club, that would happen. Like that would happen with any coach going to a new club. There would be some players that just don't gel with it. But all of a sudden, a journalist has put this is how powerful journalism is. This has been put into the ether now, and all of a sudden, Mike Maguire has to start answering questions, and we have to start talking about topics. Or is he training the boys too hard? Or is he the man for the job? Mate, it's been 10 rounds. It's been 10 rounds. Like, what are we talking about here? He's sitting 7th. It's been 10 rounds, and he's literally 10 games into his coaching career at the Brisbane Broncos. Why are we even considering questioning whether he's the right man for the job
and
or
it's
not?
not like he's a rookie. Like he's won premierships in 2 different competitions, in Super League and in NRL.
He broke a 15-year drought at Suncorp Stadium. He beat Australia by 30-0. And I know people go, well, yeah, that's because it's a small sample size. He's only training them for 8 weeks. But do you think Mike Maguire is so dumb that he doesn't go, okay, so all right, I was with the New South Wales squad for 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever. I didn't train them that hard because they need to be fresh for games. And then he's like, okay, so I got this record win for the New Zealand side. You know, I broke a 15-year drought. All right, I'm the head coach of the Broncos. Oh, I'm going to go back to training people way too. Like, why would he do that?
No.
Why wouldn't he, like, it makes no sense. And I know people go, oh, well, maybe it's because he's dealing with the Blues, he's dealing with the cream of the crop. But shouldn't that suggest to you that it works? That with the best players that are willing to buy in,
True.
it works, his style of whatever it is. Like, there's no way he went into the New South Wales camp, trained them totally different to how he trains the Broncos, like especially in season. Now, listen, if you say to me, is the preseason going to be friggin' psycho hard? Yeah, for sure. But that's like bellyache, all that stuff, Serraldo. But in season, why would he treat the squad differently than he did the Blues? He has to get them fresh for the games each week. And that's what doesn't make any sense. And then I saw like people talking about, oh, you know, they went down to Sydney 2 days earlier and some players didn't like it. Like, bro.
Well, that just grow up.
Come
seriously.
on, bro. Give me you are getting paid on average in that squad $400,000. Like, you're a professional.
But like, okay, they trained too hard. They went on a harbour cruise and got a history cultural lesson. That's the opposite. That's the opposite of training too hard.
And so now he has to contend with these nonsense arguments of like, oh, do I train too hard? Do I not train too hard? The problem is like, okay, who's the right coach then, man? Are we going to go through every single coach in the NRL before we allow, it just doesn't make any sense. On top of all that, if there are players right now that don't get along with Michael Maguire or don't believe in his coaching methods, I'll tell you what the weakest thing ever is to do is to tell journos about it. It's weak as piss. And you know what? If it's not you that are speaking to journos and it's your manager, then you need to stop talking to your manager, or you need to tell your manager to stop talking to journos. So whoever that is that's leaking that kind of stuff that they're not happy about it, be a man, go in, because I tell you what fucking is not changing. Michael Maguire's not getting sacked this year. So
Nor should he.
And they will essentially pick Michael Maguire over nearly anyone at that club right now because we're in a premiership drought. It's been 20 years. So if you are a person that disagrees so strongly with Michael Maguire's methods, be a man, go into the top tier at Broncos and say, guys, I would like a release. I would like the opportunity to speak to other clubs because I don't agree with how things are going right now. Do that. Don't do the non-man thing, which is talk to managers, talk to journos. That doesn't help anyone. And I don't understand it. If you truly believe it so much that you're willing to disrupt a club with all these headlines, go to the Broncos and say, I'd like the opportunity to speak to other clubs. Do you reckon they're going to stop you?
Of course not.
Like, do you reckon the Broncos
would
go,
they?
nah, you definitely got to stay, even though you're literally verbalising to us that you don't agree with Michael Wire and he trains you too hard. Like, the club is going to go, okay, let's facilitate you finding another club.
Yeah. I thought you made a good point, a really good point yesterday, and something I hadn't really thought that deeply about. But when one or two players whinge, it seems like the whole squad's whinging.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching a game and I'm wondering who
is it? Who is it?
Soft.
Yeah.
But it's in reality that's not the case.
We don't know. We don't know.
And so that's causing even way more dramas.
Yeah, we just don't know. And again, if you're a few of those players that have leaked that to the media, you're damaging your mates. The guys you're supposed to be dying for beside you, that bleed for the preseason, all those army camps, everything you did in the preseason, by going and leaking this information to either your manager or the journo, you are hurting their opportunity to be the best version of themselves. And unfortunately, let's just say for some reason, it's the bulk of the playing group. Boys, you had Kevy Walters last year.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Like, it makes no sense. Like, at some point, you've got to go, okay, we had Anthony Seibold, didn't work. We had Kevy Walters, who was all for the player. Like, that didn't work. He got sacked after a review. So it had to be someone that said something about him as a coach that got him let go. At some point, you've got to go, okay, boys, we need to, even if we disagree with these methods, we've got to buy in.
Yeah.
We've got to buy in. And that's where I go, do you watch them play? And when you watch the Broncos play, are they playing Mike Maguire style footy?
Absolutely not.
Like, absolutely not. Like, so there hasn't been an all buy-in yet. So how can you say his methods don't work if there hasn't been 100% buy-in?
Exactly.
You can't.
Yeah.
And so that's where, again, this is the power of the media, where, you know, someone in the media can just come out, make a bunch of claims, and now a whole playing roster and club has to defend claims that may not even be true. If you're a current player that feels that way, go to the club, ask for a release, get out of there then. Go to a club that you feel you're going to be better at, because you're not helping your mates. You're really not helping your mates. And you know what? You're the fan base more than that as well, in my opinion.
And now they put pressure, like they have to win this week, because otherwise we're going to get another week of this.
No, the problem is that it's like a self-perpetuating, and this is I know I'm repeating myself, but this is how powerful the media is. Something that may not even be true becomes true, because if they don't win this weekend, then everyone just goes, oh, it's because they don't like Mike Maguire. Like, maybe it's just a million other reasons. Like, maybe there's just one player that is not gelling specifically, or maybe there's a part of the game plan, or maybe he's doing what Serraldo's doing and he's trying to find the guys that do believe in his plan. Like, imagine if people had have gone all the way with all the accusations against Serraldo in that year. Imagine if people actually had have gone, because like there was so many stories coming out saying, like, you know, it's too hard, it's this, it's that. Imagine if the Bulldogs had have actually allowed that to continue. We wouldn't be sitting here, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, and so, you know, like all those headlines that were happening against the Bulldogs about training too hard, like no one ever has to apologise. I tell you what they never do. They never come out and say, I got it wrong. Like, that's one thing we will always do on this podcast. If we have made a big claim, we will say we got it
Absolutely.
wrong. But what about all those people that wrote those stories about how Serraldo and the Bulldogs were training the players too hard?
It's just like, meh, see ya.
We never hear about it again, do we? They continue to, everything is fine, it's all good. When in reality, they should be coming out and saying, it's incredible what Serraldo has managed to build at the moment.
Yep. And
I was totally wrong. They weren't training too hard. The players weren't committed enough. It was clearly the players that weren't committed enough. And so that's where I have, I've actually got a lot of respect for Taylor Mariner at the Dragons, because he actually spoke about that at the Dragons, how maybe he didn't handle certain things properly.
Yeah.
And I really do respect that from him, because he could have easily just gone quiet, let it go, but he didn't. He fessed up and said, you know, maybe I didn't handle this right or that right, which shows that's a man. That's a man.
Yeah.
Whereas I tell you what's not a man, leaking shit to managers and journos. That's been, you know, a boy, a little baby boy that's throwing his toys out of his cot. Go to the Broncos. If it's not gelling for you, ask to speak to other clubs. It's honestly that simple. It really is. We
had Mobsy on he's on every week, but we had him on 6 weeks ago, and we started speaking about how there's up to 20 players who's off contract this year and next year. At the time, that's when Brisbane were winning, and I was like, that's no good. But it's going to be interesting now to see what the turnover actually is going to be like in the next 2 years.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I just want to defend the players a little bit for you. Like, are you telling? Like, look at Payne Haas this year. Look at Paddy Carrigan. Even like a Pia Cora. Like, when he comes on, he rips and tears.
Yeah.
So like guys like that, you've got Jazeski that's been like, if you think Michael Maguire's methods don't work, mate, respectfully, Jazeski like was lucky to be playing Queensland Cup. He's all of a sudden been elevated in the first grade side. And like, has he set the world alight? Maybe not. But I tell you what, is he the best version of himself to be able to make that side? He absolutely is under Michael Maguire. Shibasaki.
I was just about to say, I laughed when he made the round one team.
Like, yeah, 100%. But guess what drew the best out of him? Michael Maguire's style of coaching. And I'll be honest, Shibasaki's been one of their best. Even in bad games. You go back, you watch the bad games, he's been bloody good, Shibasaki. Okay, Adam Reynolds. Mate, against the Dogs, Adam Reynolds had one of the best games like I've seen him have in like 5 years.
That was crazy, that game.
So that's what I'm saying. Like if we see these incredible performances, clearly there is merit to what is happening there. It's just going to take time for it all to come together. And that's why I said I want to defend the players here. I reckon most of those players understand what it's going to take, and they have bought in. It just hasn't clicked as quickly as possible because old habits die hard. Like, it is going to take quite a while to convince this playing group, because this playing group, it has been ingrained into them. We are an attacking, flary side that is known to just be highlight reel machines. They've been doing that for fucking 5 years or something now. You're not just going to click your fingers. When the intensity rises, when you're on the footy field, a lot of the time you're not even thinking, you're just acting because it all happens so quickly. It's going to take time to take those habits out of them and say this is a new style of rugby league.
Yeah, because that attacking play is fantastic when it clicks, but it's a flash in the pan. It's happened twice this year. Once was one half against the Dogs, and once was in round one against the Roosters.
Yeah,
like it's not sustainable.
It's just not sustainable. And we had that incredible year, but like that's 1 year where everything clicked. Like, if you actually go back and look at that year, like some of the games are like 34-20, and or they would like be behind by 10 points, and then they would go out and score like 4 tries in 2 seconds. Like, these were not controlled.
Yeah,
they were highlight reel, amazing talent wins. Obviously, Ezra Mam's coming back in this week. I mean, we've spoken pretty much about Ezra Mam and kind of like our feelings on it. Like, look, I do think the Broncos had a real opportunity to, and it's not even about punishing anyone or whatever. It's more just going, look, you've got to earn this jersey again. What happened was really, really serious. And yes, I'm sure he's earned it and trained his backside off. And I'm sure he's on the road to redemption and everything like that with Ezra. But I just think, like, just one game, you reckon that's enough to say you've earned the jersey back after everything that happened? I personally don't think so. And that's coming from, as I always say, this is coming from someone that wants Ezra to grow into the best version of himself as he can.
Yeah, I would have loved. I would have liked to see an extra few games in Q Cup.
That's where I am a little bit disappointed in Michael Maguire. I felt like he could have had a real opportunity. He's talked a lot about setting standards and
people are going to comment and people are going to say, "Oh, well, Ben Hunt's injured," but like that's still the easy option.
But again, that should be irrelevant.
Yeah,
because if you're saying earn the jersey, it shouldn't matter who's injured. We got Billy Walters. Billy Walters has been playing pretty good this year.
I think he's had a great year.
Like, you got Billy Walters. You got other guys in the squad that can play. You got Corey Pakes at 9, Tyson Smoothie, Moser. There are people that could have filled in, and I just think that Madge could have. And look, there's a flip side for Madge. He's got 2 options here. He could say, set the standard, and maybe it's 3 or 4 games. Ezra goes back and kills it, or on the other side, maybe him going, I'm going to back you in here, Ezra, and he's bought Ezra's loyalty for the rest of his life, where Ezra's like, in a time of need, Mike Maguire was the man that had my back. Me personally, this is probably the first thing with Michael Maguire that I just disagree with. I think that it was more important to set a standard here. And it's like, set a standard is probably the wrong word, but just say you've got to earn this jersey back. And I don't think one game is earning the jersey back. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not sure how I can add to that. Like, I think they've taken the easy option, replacing an injured player, saying that they can lean back on that.
Because I ask myself this a lot of the time, and this is how much respect I have for places like the Storm. if that happened, well, first of all, a lot of people would say that would never happen to the Storm. But like, let's just imagine it did. Do you reckon they'd let him back in after one game?
No.
I don't think so. I don't think so. And maybe I'm wrong, and they've got evidence of like that has happened at the Storm where they've let players back in after one game. But man, there's plenty of times that there are players that are fit at the Storm that are playing reserve grade purely for cultural reasons.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think that if this happened at the Storm, I think that they would say we need 3 or 4 weeks from you, and it's not about like is Ezra good enough for it. Obviously, he's good.
Yeah,
enough.
apparently he killed on the weekend.
But also
that
he's a
shouldn't
gun.
matter.
He's so good.
What in the GF? Of course,
it's
he's
more
a gun.
it's more just about life lessons and saying, mate, we have a plan. It's a 3-week, 4-week plan. Go back, mate. Kill it. Earn your stripes. We'll bring you in when it's right. Unfortunately, I feel like it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, no one's done anyone any favors. Like, he should have been suspended longer, but It is what it is.
And so I think what I will say is like now that I've had my say, I'm not going to keep harping on it. In regards to Ezra, like he's punished. He can't punish himself any further. Like it wasn't him that handed it to himself. I've given my thoughts on it. I feel like it probably should have been the season, but that's not the case. And I think that now that he has been brought back into the side, if I keep just saying the same thing, we shouldn't be back in the side yet. He shouldn't be back in the side yet. It's like, well, who does that help?
Yeah.
The opinion, you guys know my opinion on it. I've been pretty firm on this opinion since this whole thing ended. So now that he's back, I think it's, for me personally, it'll just be watching him on his merits on how he handles himself in the team.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that they had not. It's a real missed opportunity. It's probably the first thing that Michael Guy's done at the Broncos that I've probably disagreed with.
Yep.
I think that outside of that, I've been really admired how tough he's been with like Shibasaki getting selected, Jazeski getting selected. I've been really an admirer of Madge's decision. So, but it's like anything, like we spoke about earlier. You don't need to agree with everything that everyone does. You can disagree with one part of something, but still agree with a lot of other things. Wellness Warriors Gathering, guys. Don't forget, June 7th, I will be doing a talk at the Wellness Warriors Gathering. Go to warriorsgathering.com.au and you can get your tickets today. And it's a really good opportunity, guys, to meet like-minded people. So go to warriorsgathering.com.au. And it's also, I've never done anything like this before because I don't want to do it with people that aren't professionals in this area. There are so many of these little, gatherings that are literally just people with no education on the topic, just randoms, just saying, motivational life quotes or whatever. They are not professionals. The reason why I'm doing this is because this is run and held by people with doctorates in this area. They are professionals. They're the best in the business. So come down, guys. We'll be spending the day together. There'll be education in wellness, in financial management, e-safety, nutrition, all of that good stuff. So if you just want to get down and equip yourself to be the best version of yourself, get down. It's only $60 for tickets, guys. warriorsgathering.com.au. I'll be there. I'll be having a yarn, and then I'll be hanging around all day, just chewing the fat, meeting like-minded men and women. And also, if you are struggling mentally at the moment and you just need a bit of a kickstart or meet some like-minded men, come down. Some really good, important information will be handed over in the Wellness Warriors Gathering. So that's warriorsgathering.com.au. Get your tickets. There's a limited amount. You do not want to miss out. And even if you just want to come down, spend the day together, have a yarn, get down and have a yarn. Okay, Gagai.
Just quickly, it's breaking news, but it's not really groundbreaking. Actually, I keep forgetting Cobbo isn't contracted next year.
Yeah.
But apparently he's started negotiating with rivals, but they've insisted that he'd prefer to stay at the Broncos. But yeah, a bidding war is about to erupt.
Yeah, the thing is just like, I don't think much of a bidding war from the Broncos will happen because they don't have any money. You know what I mean? So like, what do they?
That's a good point.
I don't think anyone looking at the Broncos right now is going, I reckon they're lying, trying to get him on the cheap. I reckon they're trying to get him on the cheap. Like, I reckon the Broncos are like, mate, we got no money. Who?
Especially if Reynolds resigns.
Yeah, like who we got? Who we got that? We got no money. We just re-signed Staggs. And yes, it sucks because Selwyn's a gun, but like, mate, he'll get at least 700-800K somewhere.
Oh, and the rest.
Yeah, at least. So it's just like, fuck, how can we afford that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I reckon probably trying trying to think, where would he suit at the moment? If he wants to play fullback, that's the hard thing.
Well, yeah, that's an entirely different because fullback's probably the best position in NRL at the moment.
Yeah, look, if I'm looking at it, I go, look, Dolphins, like Asako, what's he, 30 years old now?
Yeah, that was my first thought, the Dolphins, but he's not playing. Well, he might. Hammer could play centre, but I'm pretty strong on this. I think Hammer's got to be their fullback.
Yeah. I mean, if you had, to be honest, I think Trey Fuller should be their fullback. He's a gun when he comes back from his ACL. Could I see him going to Sydney? I don't know if I do. I don't know if I could see him going to Sydney. Maybe Gold Coast.
Man, the Roosters. I don't know if I can see him going to Sydney either. But park that. Just for argument's sake, let's say he could. They are clearing cash, and we've known about DC for ages, but they seem to be hurriedly clearing cash at the moment.
But I reckon their backline's sorted.
I agree, actually.
No, I'm going to Wase, Toya, Smith, and you're not going to get Selwyn Cobbo as a backup for them.
Yeah,
They're just getting rid of Dom Young.
yeah.
That's what I didn't get to understand. I'd love to get your thoughts on this, and obviously you're biased because you don't like the Roosters, you're a Rabbitohs fan. But I was a bit surprised. I wasn't surprised at Robertson being frustrated with the Knights at all. Like, if what he said is true, and I've got no reason to believe it's not, that would be really annoying. Like, to suggest you want him and then all of a sudden turn around and say, we've got to pay the rest of the year. Like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. Yeah. But what I am surprised at, the implication that, we want Dom Young, nothing changed from our end. But if the Newcastle Knights and the management, the first time they call up and say, we want Dom Young, and you just go, yep, that suggests to me that you don't want Dom Young. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Surely, if Knights and his manager said, we want to take Dom Young, surely you go, no, we love Dom Young. We want him long term. The fact that you said yes, which suggests to me that you are okay, he's not really in the long term plan.
I don't think there's any doubt that they're trying to get rid of Dom Young.
But he alluded that's not the case.
Yeah, I know, but
that's what I'm not understanding. I know that your words are saying one thing, but if you want to keep Dom Young, there's no way you say yes immediately to someone buying out his contract.
Yeah, I mean,
surely you go.
I'm taking everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah, surely you turn around and go, whoa, hang on a sec, Dom, you want to leave? Why do you want to leave? We love you, mate. We think you're a guy. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't add up. If I've got employees or whatever, and you've been dropped to reserve grade, and I actually want you to stay around forever, and I get a call of someone else going, we want Matty to come work for us, we'll pay out his contract or whatever, and I just immediately say yes. You wouldn't. I wouldn't say yes. I'd be like, Matty, let's chat, mate. What's going on? You don't want to be. Well, I want you here. I love you as an employee. I think you're great. I think you did this. Blah 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 blah. That's what would happen. Then you might say to me, mate, I want to leave. Then if that's the case, if I'm Robinson, in the press conference, I'm saying, oh, no, Dom Young said he wants to leave.
Yeah.
So that's why we're young Dom has said, but he said that's not the case in the press conference.
Well, my opinion is, and I'm trying to be as measured as possible, but the Terrell May thing, they're happy to let go of him. This Brandon Smith thing, they fought over money for ages. And then the reason that Trent Robinson did this press conference is because of this transfer fee, which I agree with. There's no way the Roosters should be paying that.
No
I agree with that.
He's 100% right.
That is outrageous chat from Newcastle.
Yeah.
It's actually they can't be serious trying to pull that. That's outrageous.
I just think they were just trying to. It's just negotiation tactic.
I agree, but it was silly because they went too high. But anyway, it's all about money. I think it's all about money, and Trent Robinson's realised that they're not going to get rid of Dom Young this year. They're going to try and get rid of him for next year. So he's just said that to try and appease Dom Young.
But the weird thing is this: I get the posturing because it's all about posturing. So basically, he wants to send the message to the Newcastle we want Dom Young, so that Newcastle think, if they want Dom Young, they're not going to pay him to leave. But then you can't sit there being all frustrated with how Newcastle have handled this, whilst also posturing yourself. You know what I'm saying? He's posturing himself by saying, we want Dom Young. We don't want him going anywhere. It's but you can't be frustrated and have this press conference where you're all frustrated whilst also, playing the game of negotiation right now as well.
I agree, and that's why I literally, when I heard that press conference, I was just like, whatever. I don't expect Dom Young to be there next year, and then that interview is not going to make any sense.
And if I have to be honest, mate, when he got dropped to reserve grade, that's just and what's crazy as well, I predicted it from round 4. I didn't predict it from nothing. Like I was reading the tea leaves, seeing how things were happening in the game, all that stuff. If I can see that, then clearly the environment has been created where they're like, listen, this guy's we've got like in reality, I don't think they thought Toya, Smith, and Nwanga Nituase and Tupou would kick on the way they have.
Especially Tupou. Hey, I thought he was going to retire 4 years ago.
And so that's what I think has changed for the Roosters, where they've gone, we're paying this guy $600K.
Yeah.
Where he's not even starting, so let's move him forward. So anyway, that's what I thought. Dan Gagai, massive congratulations to Gags. Playing 300 games. I'll never forget Gags coming through the grades. Me and him. So he was coming through the Broncos, and Anthony Griffin was the coach at the time, and he just had this real obsession with like putting as much weight on us as possible. So we would be rolling into training, nervous as anything, drinking like full-on bottles of water to hit weight targets, like vomiting after it. Like I never vomited, but some of the boys would drink it, and they'd be trying so hard to hit their targets, they'd be vomiting. Some blokes would put weights down their pants because we used to get fined financially. And so, yeah, like Gagai, I just never forget how much he would try to do it with all, like, we'd be drinking water before we walked into the gym and all that stuff. And then, yes, was he late a time or two for training, but then the Broncos released him. So dumb.
Missed. That's a miss.
That's a huge miss. And he was in your system. And sometimes I go, like I understand if a player is like just not responding well or whatever, but like sometimes I get frustrated when players get moved on so quickly because I'm like, it's the coach's staff's job to get the best out of them. So if they're not responding well, maybe you're not making the right environment for them to respond. And I think Gagai is a perfect example. If he's not responding well, look how well he responded everywhere else. And granted, maybe he grew up a little bit once he got released, but surely it's your job to be there. Like if he always had that in him, it's your job to get it out of him, in my opinion.
Well, the proof's in the pudding. It was a huge miss. In my opinion, he's a Queensland legend. Yeah. I think his achievements in Origin have been severely understated. Like, I think he's the only player, I'm pretty sure, the only player to ever win the Wally Lewis medal from the wing. He effectively ended Laurie's Origin career in 2017 when, cast your mind back, game 1 for feeder, kills him. Game 2, up in Suncorp, so it's like, sweet, the Blues are going to win. Game 2 in Sydney, we're up 16-6. How can we lose a series from here? Gagai try. He won in the series. And then game 3, that was Cam Smith's last ever game where he decided he was going to run again and just tore us apart. So that series was easily the worst of my life. But Gagai, I was in camp. It was a shocker. But yeah, that was just one of his many Origin moments.
Oh, man. Far out. So, yeah, love you, Gags. Ran into him over in Venice. Had a wine with him, which was such a cool story. Such a good player. Such a good player.
And he still every time he plays, he just rips. He rips in so hard. And thank you for his services at South.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget, guys, KO Fox League exclusive games in round 11 are Knights v Eels at 6 p.m, Dolphins v Warriors Saturday 3 p.m, Cowboys v Seagulls Saturday 5:30 p.m, Sharks v Storm Saturday 7:35. Broncos v Dragons Sunday 2 p.m. What a game. That is going to be a fucking class. Like, Flano is desperate for a win. Can you imagine if they lose this as well?
I don't know who's more desperate out of Broncos and Dragons.
Mate. Tigers v Rabbitohs Sunday 6:15. And you're not going to want to miss the PGA Championship, which kicked off last night with Min Woo Lee and Cam Smith leading the charge for the Aussies. The only place you can watch all the action is on Fox Sports, available on KO. And Oscar Piastri is leading the F1 World Championship and will be looking to extend his lead in championship returns to Emilia Romagna, if that's how you say it. Tune in to every practice, qualifying session, and race live on Fox Sports. Race is on at 11 p.m. Sunday, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Get on board today. What's your algo looking like, mate?
Oh, I've said it a few times, but I can't stop watching WWE, and it's just all over my feed now. Yeah. It's honestly all I watch now. It's crazy. But yeah, just funny WWE videos. The Netflix here is taken over, which is awesome. What about yourself?
All right. We better wrap it up because it's nearly 3 o'clock and people will be waiting for the potty.
Jeez,
grab your grumpy coffee, guys. The best coffee in all the land. Grab your Bloke jersey. Once they're gone, they're gone. And join the Bloke Club as usual. We'll go fuck ourselves. Thank you.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.